Good to go. 1, 2, 3.
Hey everybody, welcome back to White Mountain Approves. This is the site dealing with all things hiking, and especially in the New Hampshire Whites, and we're glad that you're tuning into this broadcast. We're coming to you tonight with Ian and Keith and Dave, and we're going to be talking about stuff sacks, if you use them, if you don't use them, but we'll be covering a lot of that and the importance of them and good quality ones versus not good quality ones. And then we're going to be talking about a recent hike up one of the 52 of the View, Mount Roberts in Moultonborough. And so, Dave, you just held up like a ginormous stuff sack. Why don't you start in with the review of some of these things?
Sure. This is one of the stuff sacks that I have, and try and get it on the camera here.
That's for his lunch.
Yeah, it's a good size one. This one, and I'll show you right up top here.
Looks like an Eddie bag.
It is an Eddie bag. It does open, sort of the typical one that you would cinch close. It does have a clasp. It is made by Outdoor, and I believe I may have gotten this at Walmart. It's a really good stuff sack, and I don't know how many liters, but it holds a lot. It does cinch down nice. It clips well. I carry all of my winter excess gear in this, in my backpack. So what I carry in this, and I won't go through every specific item, but I have extra gloves, extra hats, my goggles, some socks, sort of all that winter gear, including neck socks, hand warmers. Yeah, definitely. Just the real quick drawback to this is it's water repellent, not waterproof. This is one of the ones that I use when I'm concerned about things getting wet. It's a Sea to Summit. Same exact system, but it's a little thicker sort of nylon material. In this one, I've never submerged it, but I can tell you this, if I have this against my back in the summer when I'm sweating a lot, it does not allow any of the moisture to get into the inner contents. So I do keep like dry clothes in here and things that I want to stay dry, especially in the summer months, and I'm concerned about those getting wet. So these are the two that I have. I also have a yellow one of these, which is really nice. Same brand, Sea to Summit. The only thing is these are large. So for the small items, like your headlamps, maybe your first aid kits, you would need a smaller one because this one sort of takes up a lot of room.
Good. All right, Keith, you want to go?
Sure. I have a couple of different ones here. I also have this one made by Outdoor. It's red, but my friends like to tease me and say it's pink. That's just because they're jealous. But it has a clasp, just like Dave was showing you. Undo it. And it can fold down, so nothing gets on the top. You can see it's kind of large. But I use this primarily for my hiking spikes because when you buy a new pair of spikes, like Hillsound anyways, you get this bag. It's really kind of rugged and everything, but after a while, it breaks down, it tears. So I put my spikes in these. So you don't have to worry about folding it up or anything. You just kind of drop in the bag and you're good to go. The bag itself, I don't believe it's waterproof, but I noticed the stitching on it. It appears to be ripstop, the way it's weaved. So if it gets snagged, it doesn't look like it's going to tear, which I think is pretty good quality. I also have a smaller one, same thing. And this I put in more things that I really want to keep track of. Like, I got a story goes behind this. We were up hiking in the Belknap Range, and I was doing the red line. And it was a trail that was in and out, probably 3 to 5 mile trip. But all the way in, we stopped for lunch. And I keep my lunch and my wallet on the top pouch of my pack. It kind of flips over. When I did that, unbeknownst to me, my wallet dropped out. So when I got home that night, no wallet. So I had to walk all the way back in the rain, had some company. Ian and his now wife and PK went with me, but there was my wallet. So now I use this bag here. What I like about these bags is the bright colors. You drop them, you're going to see them. So I keep things like I really don't want to lose any, like keys. I have a house key or something like that in my wallet, those types of items. So they're pretty handy. Almost anything you want to keep separate and know where they are and find them real quick.
Yeah, that's great.
That's definitely some good advice because I usually throw my car key in that same zippered compartment that you talk about, and I can't tell you how many times when I've gotten back to the car, I go fishing through there, and I've never lost it, but that's certainly the thought that goes through my mind.
It's fortunate my wallet was still in the spot where it fell on the ground because it gets a lot of activity up in that area.
Yeah, and I think what he's failing to remember is the day that we went back to look for the wallet, it was pouring rain and there was like 5 inches of slushy snow on the ground. And I think Ian and I just went for him because we thought he was going to expire out there on his own in the rain.
Piece of cake. What's hiking with a little rain?
Yeah, hey, thankful that you found it. That was a good call. So, Ian, how about you? What do you use for stuffed sacks?
All stuffed sacks are kind of the same. I think the biggest thing I try and do is make sure they're color coded. So I've got my first line of defense. I've got my spare pair of gloves, spare balaclava, spare buff in one, and then I go a layer deep. My next color is my goggles, my neoprene face mask, a bigger pair of mittens, and then in my last bag, what I carry for winter is I have a change of shirt. I've got my long johns in there, and then I also have my rain pants in there. So I just kind of make sure that I have everything that's the next step that I need for either cold or water protection all in the same bag, so I can just grab that and get it on.
Yeah, good.
That's a great idea.
I've also got this is the orange, the outdoor sack, the stuff sack. And I think the reason we all got this is because one of you guys gave them to us for Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
And so we've all got them for Christmas gifts. They're great for putting things in. I agree. They're a lightweight nylon. They're probably water resistant, but not waterproof. So I do have a couple of Sea to Summits. They're heavier, almost rubberized coating on them. Definitely waterproof all the way. I really don't use stuff sacks a lot. I've got an orange Sea to Summit that I keep all my medical stuff in and survival stuff and headlamps and things like that. So when I need something critical, I go to the orange bag, and it just goes from my day pack to my larger pack to an overnight or a weekend pack. And I know exactly what's in it. That's where I'm going to find my headlamps, extra batteries, repair gear, survival equipment, fire starting equipment, all that kind of stuff, and medical stuff as well. But other than that, I just keep my socks and gloves and different layers just right in my backpack. I really don't put them in stuff sacks. But anyways, that's a little bit about stuff sacks and how we use them, and everybody's different, and you may want to put all your different items in different packs that are different colors, and what's in each one, and might make it a little easier to find when you're on the trail. Any other input, guys, from experiences with stuff sacks or using them? So this is an easy night. We're just kind of talking about stuff sacks, and there's a lot of different sizes and shapes, and small ones for smaller items. I have a little blue one that I keep like an extra headlamp in, and different things like that. So anyways, moving on, we did a hike up Mount Roberts, and so we want to talk about that a little bit. Dave, what you were needing to do a 52 of the view. We could only go Sunday afternoon, so it was going to be a later hike. So what was your take on that hike up Mount Roberts?
That was the first time I ever hiked Mount Roberts. And I was really impressed with the views. That was an angle of both Lake Winnipesaukee and looking up towards, and I know we couldn't quite figure out which peak it was, whether it was Passaconaway or Chicora or even something more south than that. But it was a really nice view up towards the White Mountains. So it was a really good hike, and it actually had a couple of small steep sections, but it was an enjoyable hike. I believe it was 2.5 miles each way, so 5 miles, maybe a little bit extra walking to the parking lot to the car. But really enjoyable, good afternoon hike. And I think we were, if I remember correctly, we might have hit the trail around 2:15, and I think we were back down to the car around 5 o'clock, give or take. So it was a good afternoon, nice hike. The weather was good, traction was good. Yeah, PK, I know you had made a comment about not having a lot of snow, or the snowpack was thin, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of year in that sense. It's been colder than anything, but not a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Keith, what about your takes on Mount Roberts?
Well, that was my fourth trip up Mount Roberts. And to me, it's an enjoyable hike. It's probably one of the easier hikes you'll take, even though it does have a steep section in it. It pushed me a little bit. It's been a while since I've been on a hike like that, but the hiking conditions were excellent. I mean, it was, I don't know, 15 degrees or so, but there was no wind. So, I dressed kind of light. I just had a wicking layer, an outer sweatshirt with a hood and a vest on that, and that was fine, and just had gloves on my hands. So it was good. It was good conditions. The views were kind of different in a way because we were getting some clouds mixed in with it. And coming down, it was actually starting to get to be dusk, and we had the moon in the overhead as well. And the storm we had this past Sunday was coming in, so it made for interesting views. But it's always an enjoyable hike up that way.
Yeah, I don't know if the mountain was pushing you. I think maybe the pace was pretty extreme. So, anyways, Ian, you weren't with us on that hike, but you've hiked Mount Roberts quite a few times. How do you like that? What's your take on Mount Roberts?
That's a really good one. That's a really enjoyable one because there is really only that one steep section. And then there's that one section that you get towards the end where you kind of walk through those pine trees.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool little spot right there. And you can't get better views for the hike that you have to do.
Yeah.
That section through the evergreen trees was a lot longer than I remembered. It goes on for quite a while. So yeah, I'm glad Keith didn't say he'd hiked it 5 times because it would have been a stretch for me to say I did it 6. But I did it 5 times. If he did it 4, I've been at 5. So Mount Roberts is a great hike. I recommend anybody that's new to hiking and you're probably not quite yet conditioned for something that's a lot longer and a lot steeper. It is a great go-to hike. For one thing, it's southerly. It's an easy drive to get to if you're coming from the south. And it's a pretty moderate, probably easy to moderate trail. I think it's 2.6 miles to the summit. And it's just a fun hike. Now, I've hiked it like 4 or 5 times, honestly, I remember. And every time it's been in the winter. And every time I hike it, I'm like, I got to come back and do this in the summer. So it's definitely going to be on my bucket list for this summer to get up there and get some summer views of it because it's just a really fun, a nice hike. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, PK, I don't know the history, but you had mentioned it's part of the Castle in the Clouds, and it would be a good, just a good area to explore during the day, maybe not even the mountain.
Yeah, the Castle in the Clouds is a historic landmark in the state of New Hampshire. It was built by, a multimillionaire way back in the day. And now it's sort of like a museum, and they do tours that you can go through and hear the history and see the technology that back in that era that this guy had in this house is pretty amazing. And then the whole story of his life, how he started, how he ended. It's worth the trip to go to the museum. But yeah, I think, correct me guys if I'm wrong, I think that's referred to as the Ossipee Range. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's the Ossipee Range up there. You've got Mount Roberts, which is a 52 to view. You've also got Mount Shaw, which is a tougher mountain than some people realize, but that's also a 52 to view. And then there's a number of other peaks that, you can get a patch for redlining all the trails in that range also. So, yeah, Mount Roberts is a great hike. If you get a chance to do it, go ahead and do it. So it's very beautiful, very peaceful up there. I can't think of anything else to share about that hike necessarily. It was fun. It's a good hike. Oh, I know something. So, I'm in the process of losing weight again. It's a never-ending battle, and so I find that now when I hike, I'll get tanked. And there's actually a word in the hiking community for it. It's called bonk, B-O-N-K-E-D. You get bonk, and it means like you just totally run out of carbs. And they describe it as you have a flurry of energy, and then that's it. You're dead. And that happened to Keith and I when we were hiking Gunstock. It was colder than anything that day, but I started off just like a rocket, and I'm like, this is going to be a parking lot to summit hike, no problem. And I got up maybe 3/4 of the way up, and that was it. I was dead. And so then I found out about this whole bonk thing. So when we did Roberts, I'm like, okay, this isn't going to happen. So I had a nice chocolate chip muffin before we took off. I had a couple pieces of candy in my pocket that I kept popping in my mouth every now and then up the hike. And I just motored up that thing. Those guys were struggling to keep up. They kept falling behind. I would wait for them quite a bit. And then we got to the summit, and I had a big thermos of hot chocolate that I shared. That was like rocket fuel. I was literally running down the mountain. Every time there was an incline, as you're going down, sometimes you have some ups and stuff like that. When I would hit the ups, I would just run up them because I just felt like Popeye after eating spinach. It was amazing.
We better end it there before you guys fact check them.
Yeah, no, they can. So I'm definitely, from now on, when I hike, as a matter of fact, I just picked up 2 chocolate bars. And I know I'm trying to lose weight, but just to keep the gas tanks full, because I hate that experience of, when I'm dieting, I don't do carbs at all. So, it's all like salads and fruits and vegetables and maybe some protein. And man, you've got to have the carbs. So I'm gonna amend my ways so I don't have that bonk experience anymore.
Just to clarify a couple of things, you referred to going up Gunstock. As you said, it happened to you and I. It happened to you, not me, just to make you understand that. And also, I noticed your small lung syndrome kicked in on that one as well. So, then you got bonked plus small lungs. So.
Yeah, well, let me clarify that, Keith. I thought it was small lungs because I just couldn't catch my breath, but no, it wasn't. It was the bonk thing.
Oh, so your small lungs are good now?
No. Small lungs will get affected on 4,000 footers when you get up there, at 45 to 5,000 feet up on the big ones. It's real. It's real. I've written extensively about it in my second book. You can get that on Amazon. The medical facts are there. They speak for themselves. So anything else you guys want to mention?
No, actually, I'll throw this in. I'm hoping the weekend, this coming weekend's weather is a little better. I know I talk about that every time we get together for one of these sessions, but it just seems the past few weeks it's been really hit or miss. It's been cold, super cold, and then we've had a ton of wind on top of that. So
yeah. I do have a funny story going back to Mount Roberts. So we wanted to do a gear review out in the mountains because that's kind of like our niche. We want to do gear reviews while we're out in the field. And so we stopped, and I was filming primarily Keith and Dave doing a review on their spikes. And we filmed this long thing. It went on, Keith, Dave, Keith. I got in the action a little bit too. I was panning off and getting some, panoramics of the scenery and stuff. It was great. And then I get home and I'm reviewing the video, and here's Dave, and he's talking, and he's pointing down his spikes, and he goes, I wear these Hillsound spikes, and I really like the way they have big teeth, and it just went in slow motion, and I was like, what just happened? I don't even know how that happened. I didn't press any buttons or anything, but it was pretty funny. So we lost the whole gear review. We're going to have to shoot another one. So this Saturday, if we all are able to get a hike in together, bring maybe, if you have 2 different sets of spikes, bring them, and we'll talk about spikes, maybe even crampons. We can throw those in there too, if you want. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
yeah, and that'll be a good one not to miss, because those are, and especially in the winter, those are really important. It really will make or break your hike if you have good spikes. Definitely.
Or your ankle.
Yeah, or your ankle. Good point. Definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Keith might be collecting them. He's got a few pairs now.
Well, I got 2 pair of Hillsounds. This one pair I've had for 4 years that have kind of worn down, so I just bought a new pair this past weekend. But the snow isn't deep enough yet to take them on the trail. It's too much stone still exposed.
Yeah, that goes back to the kind of winter we're having. It's just a real thin layer of snowpack on most of the mountains. And when you get up into elevation, when you get on the summits, whether they're 4,000 footers or not, if they're bare rock summits, chances are you're going to be walking on a lot of rock. So, it's good to have a cheaper or a used pair of spikes that you can wear into those conditions. So, good deal. So, one last thought before we close this is, for those of you that have read any of my books, I've written 2 books on hiking. They're humorous books. They're funny books, but they are informative. And they're on Amazon. And I'm currently working on a 3rd book. But, how many times can you write books on the subject of hiking, So I was looking for new information and how to gather new information on hiking. And I reached out to the Pemigewasset Search and Rescue Team and asked them if there was any possibility that I might be able to go with them on a simulated rescue the next time they do one. And Jamie, the VP, shot me back an email, and he says, yeah, he goes, we're doing one in a couple of weeks. He goes, it's going to be a full-on winter rescue, a full carry-out of, probably a dummy or a mannequin, or I don't know, maybe me, I don't know. And so I'm really psyched to do that. I'm very apprehensive, though, because I don't know, how these people hike, if they're really aggressive or...
Like animals?
Yeah, like animals, because then I'll be eating lots of chocolate bars. But I'm looking forward to it because I want to write, some good articles on what it's like to be a part of a team that does that, and maybe even interview a couple of their team members about, some of the experiences they had. And then I'll include it in the book, and I am going to give them portraits of all three of you so they can recognize you when they have to go get you. So yeah, cool.
PK, that brings up a great point. I think we'd all, I won't speak for all of you, but I think we'd all like to give them a shout out. It sounds like a search and rescue podcast. I listen to it each week now, and there's certainly a wealth of knowledge and a great deal of information. And perhaps at the beginning of our next video, we can sort of give them a shout out right at the beginning, because they certainly do a great job. And just, I really enjoy it, and they bring a lot of great information to the table.
Yeah, Stop and Mike, couple of great guys.
Absolutely.
You ought to mention that all the proceeds from your books, PK, go to the search and rescue organizations too. You don't keep any of the money.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. That's right. It all goes to New Hampshire Search and Rescue. So it's a great cause, whether you like the books or not. It's a great cause. And so this Saturday, guys, we're talking about the possibility of a hike this Saturday. And what are we looking at? Jennings Peak and what's the other one up there? The Sandwich Dome.
Jefferson.
I knew that was going to come up. So I just want the folks to see how we come to how we're going to think about it. It's usually quite a banter that goes back and forth. So Jefferson. So Ian, if we did Jefferson, by what route would we do Jefferson?
Up Jewel.
Holy smokes, that's a long hike.
Well, if it's not windy, I want to go for it. If it's windy, we can do something else. Well, you guys can do something else no matter what. I'm not going to force you to hike with me. But if it's not windy, I want to do Jefferson.
Right.
What is excuse me. What can I jump? Sorry about that. What are the
I wanted you to clear your throat because I could hear that squeaking, and I thought it was coming from your throat.
That wasn't me. What are the other routes up there this time of year? I know I saw one, Ian, that we bantered a little bit about. Actually,
so was the Randolph Pass.
Was it the Randolph Pass?
Yeah, it comes in from the other side, but it just doesn't seem as direct as this one.
Yep.
Jewel, because it's going to be heavily trafficked too, which will be nice.
Good point, yeah.
How about Carter Dome, Ian? You need that one as well, right?
Yep.
So, that might be an alternative if we can't do Jefferson to either do, I think you need South Carter.
South and Carter.
Yeah. You planning on...
If it was windy, those wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
What's the, I'll have to look at my map, but maybe you folks know, what's the mileage on both of those? Carter Dome?
Both around 10.
Both around
Over 10. Probably close to 11.
Gotcha.
What if you did them on one hike?
40 plus, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
40.
No.
I'm skeptical about the 19-mile Brook Trail because I think I river plunged going in and going out on that once, and so I'm a little concerned about that river crossing. But
no, we'd go up the Carter Dome Trail, right? I don't know. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a look at it and we'll stay in touch. And cool. Okay. So anything else? Last parting shots, guys?
So we do have, I'll throw this out there, PK. We do have some shirts and some merchandise that we have for sale. I will do a separate short video on those and get them out there for those of you that are interested. We have some t-shirts. They're Tech Wick. We also have a sweatshirt. We have some stickers, and I believe we might have a couple of hats left. So stay tuned, and we'll have that out there, and we'll get it up on Instagram for those that may be interested.
Yeah, and we have a couple more logos coming that are really, really awesome. One is our moose, which is our mascot, great big moose, and it'll just say White Mountain Approves. Another one is the profile of the old man of the mountain, say White Mountain Approved, and a couple of other scenic ones with some mountains, some trees, and the moose in the middle. So we'll be working on those and hopefully get them silk screened on some shirts and make those available.
That's great.
All right, folks. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. Make sure you invite some friends to join us and get the word out there. And we're having a lot of fun. And also keep an ear out for giveaways. Every now and then, Ian will announce a certain giveaway, and we'll do things like that to make it fun. And we should do a recognize somebody on a trail month. Maybe February we can do a recognize somebody on the trail month and do a live review right on the trail with whoever recognized the person in question. So that'd be a fun thing to do. So if we say, hey, if you find Keith anywhere out on the trails in the month of February and you can identify him, we will stop and do a gear review of a piece of gear that you have, and we'll talk about it, we'll film it, and we'll put it on the program.
I don't think we're that famous yet, so we might just want to say if you see any one of us.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, Keith is pretty recognizable because I've seen him in the post office on the.
Yeah, right above you.
Oh man! All right, guys. Hey, listen. Thanks for tuning in the broadcast, and again, happy hiking. Stay safe.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good
No
one.
trip.